Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to High Media Headlines. I am your host, and today we have a very special episode of the High Soapbox. I am joined by Wilmington, Delaware, my hometown's newest City Council at Large representative, Mr. James Spadola.
Well, hello, Evan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come talk to me. We were talking a little bit before the podcast, and you're a very, very busy man. You're a volunteer for Big Brothers Big Sisters. You're a volunteer. You work with the Delaware Housing Authority. You're you have a leading position in the in oh god it's I just had it. I'm so sorry. The
Read aloud, Delaware.
Read Aloud Delaware. My apologies. Sorry, long night. I'm exhausted. And
No worries.
on top of that, you also, on top of all those ways you're serving your community, you also decided to, hey, I'm gonna go and end up taking a politician's workload on top of that. Just before we get into more fun topics, I would ask, what drives you to want to help and like help the like just one of the things you're doing would but be considered by the average person to be enough to assist the community. Why take on more?
I think we only have one life, and we want to make the best of it. And I find service and giving back very fulfilling. It's just a good feeling to help somebody. And I would say, it was after 9/11 that really got me focused on public service. I joined the Army 2 months after, did a year in Iraq, because of that enlistment. And so public service has always been in my veins, and giving back locally is very rewarding. When you can see the smile on someone's face that you helped, or you get the nice note after, it's all stuff that gives you good energy. It's all positive vibes, and that's what we need in this in this day and age. So so it's just trying to do good things.
What do you feel is what? And I usually ask this question to most of my guests at some point. What is the proudest thing you've done to like help another person, or like assisted, or like built something, or done something that you didn't get any acknowledgement for, you didn't get any reward for, you didn't get anything for doing it, but you take satisfaction in knowing, I did that, I did X, Y, and Z, I helped this person, I built this thing, I made this move. What, something you take personal?
It's probably my help with residents that live in the housing authority, WHA residents. There's been countless times where a resident will just thank me, via text or in person. And you can just tell how genuine they are, and, very appreciative, because, they know I went the extra mile, or I did something that, previous volunteer chairmen have not done for them. So yeah, probably because it's the behind the scenes stuff, everybody thanks you for being in Iraq. You know what I mean? Trust me, I'm not walking down the street and people that don't know are not thanking me for being the board chair for the housing authority. But the residents that have seen the work that I've done, or even, neighbors that, they had a problem with, a housing authority property, and we were able to help in some regard. That's rewarding. It's because, a former chief of staff for the mayor, not this current mayor, but under Baker, I believe, he said, being on the housing authority board has to be one of the most thankless volunteer tasks anyone could do. And I would agree with that for sure.
That Baker was a long time ago too.
Yeah.
So but just for everybody who doesn't know, Przecki has been in office for 2 terms now.
Yeah, start of his second term coming up.
This is the start of his second term coming up. Before that, the mayor that shall not be named was in for 12 years. And Oh, that was damn near 20. That was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, Mayor Williams was just. I'm sorry, I named him, but he was just in there for 4 years, I believe. Yeah, he just did 2012 to 2016.
I thought
And
I
if
thought I thought he had like 8 or 12 years of term.
no, I think he was just a one termer.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
hmm. Got my
yeah.
timeline all types of wrong.
You might be confusing him with Tom Gordon. He had quite the reign on the county.
Hmm. So one of the things that I know about you is you are a big fan of the arts and an artist yourself, of course.
Yes, sir.
So before we start gushing about our mutual love of the six-stringed axe, I was actually interested is do you have any have I'm sure that once you get your hands on the wheel, you'll be able to better um, have an idea of what you need to do. But do you have
Yeah,
like a general X amount of point plan on how to further invigorate arts in the city, especially during these trying times?
yeah. So, I have not had the opportunity to sit down with Tina Betts, the director of cultural affairs for the city. It's something I look forward to doing. um, because just how you ended that question in these trying times. I think the arts are going to be even more important to not just Wilmington, but to cities across the country. Because as work from home becomes normalized, as employees like it as a fringe benefit of not having to commute into the office, and employers like giving cost-free perks to their employees, less people are going to, one, have to come into Wilmington on a daily basis, and two, are going to have to move here at all because the incentive to live where you work is just going to be, I think, drastically reduced, unfortunately. And when you think, why do people move to Wilmington? It's going to be it's not because of the schools, that's for sure. It's because of the jobs. It's because of the banks. It's because of it's because of the economic activity here. So as that demand decreases, we need to make the arts are the biggest pillar that will help continue that.
Right.
So it's just we need to be a.
Yeah, and Wilmington has a low cost of living, so you could reasonably get a good number of artists living in the city, helping it grow.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would also
So
argue, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
there's no, I don't have any silver bullet solution in terms of how do you make the arts overnight. But I think some of the things we've been doing in the city that need to be continued, the outdoor dining on Delaware Ave and Market Street, where musicians were playing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of, mindset we need to have.
Mm-hmm.
And, seeing how, the city sponsors a lot of concerts, throughout the year, and granted during non-COVID times. But eventually those will get back going. And I think, making sure that we know how do musicians get those gigs? How are we publicizing, hey, come play in the city? That's something that I look forward to tackling, because, if you just go to the same people that have played in the past, you're not reaching a broader base.
You're also not getting you're also can't have to have a diversity in types of music as well.
Yeah.
What types of music does the average Wilmington resident enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
Soul, R&B, hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival is one of the biggest events in the city, and generates more foot traffic than any other event. It's because people who live in Wilmington go to it and like it.
Yep.
Like the Ladybug Festival down on Market Street's lovely, don't get me wrong, but I see a lot of white faces there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a lot of people from I see people from Market Street. I see people from the Trolley Square area and the Highlands neighborhood. I don't see anybody from Northside. really.
Yeah.
I don't see
But it's
anybody
good.
from West Center City or
Yeah.
Southbridge.
It is good to have events that cater to everybody, you know, because it's good, it brings people together. Granted that and the diversity perhaps that you saw at the Ladybug Festival is not what it could be. But Gable does great things, and they're always trying to make things better, and they're very focused on equity and diversity. So I think that's something that that will improve, I'm sure. Even the concept of Ladybug,
It's very
the
inclusive.
only
The people at Del Tech love it.
Yeah.
It's just, if we're going to have, Delaware was originally a hotbed for underground hip hop, and I think maybe and there's a lot of young rappers in the city that, and a very good amount of them are extremely good, but they end up having to go to Philly to try and make a name for themselves. They don't stay here, and Philly gets whatever foot traffic and fan money they get from that. So I personally would be very interested in seeing the city do a hip hop event, featuring only local artists.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I just met him over the weekend, Jeff Iqbal. He's got 500,000 followers on Facebook. He doesn't live in the city, but he's a Bollywood celebrity. But he's somebody that I'm sure the city of Wilmington has probably not invited to do a show. And I don't believe there's a burgeoning Indian American population in the city, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a diverse event that
you can't bring people from outside.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's just something unique that as a music lover, it's something that I think people like you and me were always looking to expand our horizons and our tastes. And
I grew up listening to
that's why
music for 13 years of my life.
Yeah.
And then my uncle handed me the Mothership, but the Led Zeppelin Mothership, and I immediately started opening all sorts of doors. My last 3 listened to songs is the Weezer's cover of Everybody Rules the World, Throw It Back by Missy Elliott, and an Irish sea shanty from the 1800s.
Nice. That's a good mix. That's a good mix. But having a music festival, for every genre. Granted, not some genres are going to have a bigger turnout than others, but I think just putting Wilmington on the map, and I think with Joe Biden coming to office, we will be on the map more so than we anticipate. I think
maybe not.
So it's an opportunity
heading our ways because of that, but that's something interesting to see.
Yeah.
Well, one of the I will say one of the thing, for my listeners might know, I'm originally a member of the Wilmington Children's Chorus, a local choir here in the city. And our choir was dependent on City Fest for a very good number of years, and we've always loved and identified with this city, And through my time there, I always felt that there was an effort to promote arts and stuff, but it was also kind of difficult for young people to find and be given representation. And for some genres for some hip hop and things like hip hop there, which the overwhelming majority of young people in the city it's kind of underrepresented in that regard too. So I mean, I know I've mentioned it twice in 2 different ways at this point, but I'm saying one of the things I think that could very well get not just more people coming from outside the city, but more importantly people within the city having more civic engagement in terms of with their fellow people. Things like that could do a lot to quash tensions and make things calmer if you have a bunch of people who there are issues in our city of that more of a dangerous breed, and I think if you had an event like that that'll made allow people to cross the aisle, it could do a lot to making things more peaceful over time, I think.
Yeah, I mean the arts are so uniting. Talent recognizes, people recognize good talent, even if it's something from a genre that they might not like. I remember I didn't like country music until I was in Iraq and I was forced to listen to it because the people from Western Pennsylvania that I was living with loved it. Yeah. So it's just something that, that grows on you, but then it opens you up to, a whole new genre. And now look at the collaboration between a lot of country and hip hop artists that we're having now. So there's
country's starting to sound like hip hop more.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of artists, doing very creative things with it, and that's the type of stuff that, I think transforms people. You look at how music brought people together, even in the 50s and 60s, during, when civil rights tensions were at a climbing. Music brings people together. It's that simple.
A generation of sci-fi writers wrote peace into reality by terrifying multiple generations of readers of authoritarianism and nuclear Armageddon. Think about all the great sci-fi books. Brave New World. I have no mouth. And I must scream. War of the Worlds. They just tore down notions of authoritarianism, of all these, of just a bunch of ideas that they saw would not be good for the long-term health of not only our country but the human race. And now, where nuclear production on the world on the whole is on the decline, at least compared to the Cold War, the clock has never been further from midnight. And the people love, it's really, the pen is mightier than the sword. And no matter how you use that pen, whether it's in music or books or movie or film or video games, you can do great good and great evil as well. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, definitely.
I did want to talk to you a little bit about when did you start playing guitar yourself?
I think it was sixth grade around then.
Started playing like a little around the same time I did.
Yeah. And I did it. This was pre-YouTube. I did it the old-fashioned way, where I got lessons and had to go to somebody and all that stuff. I couldn't imagine what it's like learning now. I would just be overwhelmed with all the different options. It
can be a little overwhelming. I got lessons too. But I also use YouTube to learn certain things I wanted to. Having the information age is just. I was talking with my father about this the other day. We were out in the woods cutting wood for the fire, and we were talking about how I think that the average American is smarter today than they were 40 years ago, just by virtue of human curiosity and the internet.
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of negatives that come with it. With self-publishing comes people publishing BS, but here's an interesting question. What's something that you have been able to learn that you probably never would have if the internet didn't exist?
Well, I can tell you, how about this? I'll kind of reframe your question. Just the most immediate short-term benefit of the internet that produced a great benefit. My parents' dog went missing in Florida. And I knew my parents are not social media savvy by any means. And I knew that I would have to do what I could up in Wilmington to help find them, because, how are you finding a lost pet nowadays, but through social media. So I was
And it's
able
the
to,
best way, arguably.
yeah, yeah. So, there's pros and cons, but I know without a doubt, if it weren't for Mark Zuckerberg, my parents' dog would still be missing. But I was able to track a woman down in Florida that had a rescue, and we connected. And she put flyers up. Somebody saw Charlie, called her, and it was a happy reuniting. So, yeah, in terms of I just get so much from the internet in terms of the books behind me. Half of them are probably just from following some Twitter accounts, and if somebody I respect recommends a book, I'm going to buy it. And and most immediately, I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, which talks about just making 1% move in the right direction in your daily life. Can have
Atomic Cabbage, you said?
Atomic Habits. Yep.
Atomic Habits. Yeah, I'm writing that down. I'll take a look at that later.
Nice. Yeah, it's just all about how small things in your life. It's something about
only drinking water as far as non-alcoholic beverages go.
Yeah. Or don't try to become. If you run to do a 5K, once that 5K is over, you're probably going to not run anymore. But if you're able to get your mind to run just for the sake of running, you'll go farther in your running career than you ever would if you were just fixated on a 5K. So, that I've been thankful that running is I would run even if it were unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's
that's
the
a
greatest
lovely mindset. That's my business, everything I do with my business, I do because I enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, I don't do it because if I don't enjoy the work, and I'm not getting highly paid for doing this. It's a small business that's on the come up. Like, why would I do it if I don't enjoy it?
Yeah.
So it's really, that's like, I will say, to do a quick pivot, because we've got about 5-10 more minutes before we got to wrap this up, because I know you're a busy man and you've only got a certain amount of time. I do have one last question to ask before we get into what I call the shout out segment, which is basically a way for you to promote any stuff you're doing, your friends are doing, your loved ones are doing, and just like let people know about it. Since you're incoming, what is 3 things that you want your constituents to know about, not about, if not about you, then about what you want to do for them, and how you want to how you think how you're going to best serve them. You can just rip it straight from your website if you'd like.
Sure. So first and foremost, I'm happy to be a resource in terms of if you're reaching out to somebody in the city or state government and you're not getting an answer, because you're just stuck in the bureaucracy. As it's the Republican in me, I love trying to cut through the government bureaucracy and at least get you an answer. It might not necessarily be the answer you want to hear, but we can at least bring things to resolution. So that's definitely first and foremost. 2, these are, it's going to be tough times with the pandemic. The city, I haven't had any official conversations about how the city's budget is going to look and any revisions we're going to have to make to it, but I imagine it's not going to be positive, especially with these new restrictions that the governor just put into place. We'll see how long they last, but people, the restaurant industry is a major force here in Wilmington, and
Got hit hard.
Yeah. So I say that to say, be kind to people. Everybody's fighting a battle you might not see.
Tip your waiter.
Yeah, tip big. Because 1, the restaurant's trying to stay in business, and 2, they're trying to keep their staff. And if the staff isn't getting tipped well, they're not going to stay. So be kind to your service industry, and be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself too, because nobody has this pandemic figured out. We're all dealing with some internal struggle as it relates to it. So practice self-love. Speak to yourself like you're someone you love. You wouldn't ideally you wouldn't be cruel to your partner with your words, you shouldn't be cruel to your words, even if you're just talking to yourself in your head. Just be kind to yourself too.
Go check
I
out
think that would stay.
BetterHelp.com if you really need to talk to somebody.
Yeah. There's no shame in asking for help.
Yes, most
For
certainly.
sure.
I'm
For
gonna.
sure.
So right now we're gonna move into something called the shout out section. You can also. You don't have to do it exactly the way I do. This is just a quick frame to show how I do it. It allows you to promote like either your stuff or your friend's stuff or your family stuff.
Sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into the shout out segment. I wanted to first start with shout out to my buddy PT Sean. He's a YouTuber, and me and him just started doing a YouTube series called A Quick Question. Please go check that out. We do 2 videos a week. We do one. I put mine out on Wednesday. He put his out on Sunday, and we ask questions back and forth to not only to each other but to you, the community. And please, we would love to see you engage in the comment section. Shout out to our shout out to our merch store. We've got some brand new designs in the works. If you're interested in those at all, please go check out bit.ly bit.ly/HIMRKT. James, do you have anybody you want to or anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, my girlfriend's awesome wedding and events company, Lux and Lovely. If anybody's getting married anytime soon, feel free to check out her stuff. And she's also pivoting and doing floral arrangements for people as well.
Links or Instagram or Facebook handles for that?
Yeah, it's Lux and Lovely, and it might be Lux and Lovely Events, but it's one of the two for sure. But yeah, definitely that's the biggest shout out too. I'd give a shout out to my acoustic duo, but we're not going to be playing much up until this pandemic breaks. But
go ahead,
but check us out.
Do it.
Skinner and Spadola, definitely. We love our likes. So please do come out to a gig in the future. First beer is on me. Second one's on you though.
All right, James, stay on the call. Want to chat with you a little bit longer before we say our goodbyes. But let's say goodbye to the listeners, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the High Soapbox. Mr. James Spadola, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to speak with us.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.